Warning: the following live stream is intended for an uncommon audience. If you are allergic to bold ideas, unique perspectives, or strong opinions, you are advised not to watch any further, as these could result in symptoms, including feeling triggered, loss of wokeness, or commenting in all caps. Those suffering from religious zealotitis, pseudosyphilis, or geocentric tardation should stop watching immediately and seek professional help. This is Non Sequitur. Never follow.
And I should have added that if images of probably the most adorable couple on the planet in any way makes you feel weird, then you're not going to be able to make it to this episode, because we have the cutest couple on the planet with us. They're also...
I thought he was talking about Kyle and I. I'm getting jealous now.
We're going to get to you and I.
Thank you.
We're going to get to you and I. But yes, Digital Hammurabi is with us. It is so cool to. It feels like we've known each other for so long, because I can now say, I remember when you were just talking about getting your channel started, and here you are. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good.
How are you?
Good. I'm here. You're
alive.
Where else would
Steve?
we be? I'm here as
That's
well.
true.
Watching their channels
David's here.
grow and exponentially grow. So you're gonna get those million subs this year.
By the way, everybody, thank you for allowing us to hit the 9K last night. That was really cool. We appreciate it. I feel like every time we come on here now, we have a really cool announcement. I hope that continues, because we have actually quite a few tonight, and then it'll something different. And I'll tease it. It's on the other side of the what's coming up. But if you've ever asked yourself the question, what would it look like if Kyle and Steve decided to salsa dance together, you're in luck, because we will answer that question momentarily.
If you haven't wait, hang on. If they've asked that question, please tell us beforehand. I want to know who you are that have actually went out of your way to ask that kind of question. Please tell me.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, I really want to know who you are for various reasons.
Also, guys,
I mean, it crossed my mind briefly, but only briefly.
See, honesty. That's why we
love
honesty. You can follow us, guys, at NonSec Show. That's NonSeq Show on Twitter. Also, our schedule for what's coming up is at nonsecshow.com/schedule. If you would like to contribute to our Patreon and participate in the bi-weekly hangouts that we have on Saturdays, where we take whatever you guys are thinking that you want to do, or guess it ideas that you have. It's just a really fun way to get together. We also put behind the scenes footage and some other content up on there. You can find that at patreon.com/nonsequitur. Okay, coming up this week or tomorrow is Dr. Carrier will be here with us. He and Sargon Avocado are debating at MythCon this year. We have them back to back, so really cool thing. We're going to be diving into more of the "Is doubt a virtue?" question. Tomorrow's a doubleheader. Big night tomorrow night, because then we will be joined at 10 by Rick Delano, who is the executive producer of the controversial movie The Principle. They have a new one coming out called The End of Quantum Reality. That's tomorrow at 10 Eastern, 8 Eastern for Richard Carrier. And then on Thursday, as I alluded to, we will have Sargon of Akkad with Brittany Simon. They will be debating social justice, feminism, and intersectionality. So join us for that. Now, at the beginning of the stream tonight, you might have saw this slide. It says, "Bring your evidence, outlast our audience." This is our new sister program to Debate Roulette, which, by the way, Debate Roulette its official season, I guess, will begin this Saturday. But the following Saturday, we will be doing Flatline. Now, what this is, we will open it up to those who believe that the Earth is flat. A day before in our Discord, we'll get the names of those who want to participate, and we'll randomly select the first person to come up. We will have people there to kind of counterbalance. So people like Reds, GeoScriber, Jim Panda, those types. We'll also be there. Now, the key to this is once you get in, we will start a timer. I've noticed a trend in a lot of our flat Earth discussions. It seems that it often derails into either name calling or just saying "nuh-uh" or sticking their fingers in their ears and doing something others that's stupid. The way that I figured we would curtail that is we are going to do a tournament at the end of July called King of the Flat Earth. Now, the way that the 6 people who are going to be in the King of the Flat Earth will be to have the highest lasting time on Flatline. So your timer will start when you come in. We are working on a thing now that allows the audience to interact in a way that a needle will be pointing to 3 colors. It will start off in green, gradually move to yellow until it hits red. And that will be based on what the audience thinks your claim, the proof or evidence that you put forth on your claim. If you start to derail, the audience will vote to eject you. And when that needle hits the red, that's exactly what will happen. You will be booted out of the call, and your time will be recorded and put on a scoreboard. And whoever lasts the longest on that particular episode will move into the tournament rounds for King of the Flat Earth. So if you think that you have enough evidence and that you can convince our audience, we want to hear from you. So that will be on June 24th, 2018. Okay. Also, I wanted to add this too. We just booked a really big debate that will be this Sunday. And for you guys who have missed Aaron, the creationist undertaker, as I call him, he will be back with us on Sunday at 8 o'clock to debate George Lujack. He's not a young Earth creationist, he's an old Earth creationist. And he feels that Hovind dropped the ball on their debate and that he can pick it up and run with it. So we'll see if he can get past Aaron. I don't think so, but we'll find out. Okay. I really have no way to introduce this video. Just roll the clip. But I'm going to throw it back to you here in just a second to start us out on your theory of the OJ thing. I will give you all the time that you need to say whatever you need to. I will not cut you off. I will not give you a time limit. RV,
I understand.
I'm trying to keep you on. I forgot to tell everybody that Russian Vids, the guy from Sunday that debated Reds and Dave, this was a little video made by him. So enjoy. Listen.
They hold. By the way, Russia had what was called a Barak. Now, one important thing I want to get to is the license.
Wait, is that hold on?
Began to divide the nation.
Okay. All right. Let me stop you right there. I have to mute you, but I will. I will give you all the time that you need to say whatever you need to. I will not cut you off. I will not give you a time limit.
Look at me.
No, I'm not going to say anything. Not going to do it. But yeah, I'll say this. That is what I did look like in the 70s. Just FYI.
I do want to say though that we did a pretty rocking job that Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, you know what? And one of us has a nice ass. I just remember who was who. So.
I know which one of those it is. Also, I don't know if I was offended or aroused when I watched myself as a hot dog. I'm still trying to work through those emotions.
I go with both.
Yeah.
There's a little narcissism
well, anyways,
there going on.
So, I basically want to sum that up by saying this. Hilarious video, Russian vids. I hope that it gets many views. However, rather than taking the arguments that we put forth and trying to debunk the examples and pieces of evidence that we put forth, it's pretty appropriate that the flat earthers' response would be to put us in a chicken soup, a hot dog, and salsa dances, because that video has just as much validity as every argument he brought up for flat earth. So in a sense, we thank you for trying again, Russian vids, but that was just like your performance on Sunday. Okay.
A for effort.
Yeah, man, big time. Well, sorry that you guys had to be subjected to that, but thank you for joining us. Yeah,
they're like, we're never coming back again.
I know. How do we keep getting suckered into this? Well, I'm going to let you guys kind of introduce yourselves. Megan, I believe this is your first appearance on here officially.
It is. It is. Normally,
High
I try
five.
in the comments section.
You can check off that bucket list. But yeah, you guys kind of introduce yourself. Tell us about your channel, your awesome channel, and then after that, we'll get started.
Okay. I'm Megan. Hi. I am a 6th-year PhD student now at Johns Hopkins. Like Josh, I study Assyriology and have been doing so since I was like 20, I think, which is a decade for those who care. Over a decade. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I study Assyriology. Kyle, don't laugh at me. I will crack up if you start laughing at me.
The cuteness is like killing me right now. I can't. I need a shield. I need a shield.
Usually she's just in the live chat and everybody's paying attention to her, not even whatever Josh is saying, who the hell knows, but they're just talking to Megan in the live chat with like 1,000 people just trying to chat with her. It's hilarious.
Well, so I'm just over halfway through my dissertation. I'm working on the royal inscriptions from Mesopotamia that were written between like 3000 through to 2500 BC, which means I spend a lot of time reading about kings basically showing off, which is more interesting than it sounds. And yeah, I run Digital Hammurabi with Josh. I do most of the editing and back-end stuff because I don't have time to do the actual research because we have 3 children at home. And I spend most of my day trying to stop a 4-month-old from screaming.
You're like Superwoman.
Indeed.
That is very kind.
And I'm Josh. Obviously good to be back, and I appreciate you guys having us on. And I got my PhD last year from Johns Hopkins in Assyriology, specialized in Sumerian and Akkadian, particularly Sumerian literary texts. So I really enjoy what we do on Digital Hammurabi. Really appreciate you and the audience suggesting that we do this. I wouldn't be able to do it without her because I have very little to no idea what I'm doing with this thing that sits in front of me. But she knows how to do all the editing and brings a lot of research and critique to the table. So it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this is
Beyonce good. Beyonce and Jay-Z should watch out. We have a new power couple, I think.
And they've caught the YouTube bug as I predicted they would.
Yeah, that's why.
Something I never ever thought would happen.
Same here.
Kyle was in the same boat when we started. Yeah, Kyle was in the same boat. We were like, this is going to be just a podcast. And yeah. And I was like, no, we got to throw stuff on YouTube.
So tell me about your experience before we jump into tonight's topic. How's the experience with doing YouTube? Are you like the feedback? Are you getting a lot of audience involvement? You can't be like us in terms of the most of what we field through is people calling Steve. Steve, what did that guy call you that one day last week that I died laughing at?
McCreepy? Or the fat old guy? Or the garden gnome was you. You were the gay garden gnome or something.
No, I was a discount. I was a discount garden gnome. That's even worse.
Yeah, that's even worse. Yeah.
But yeah, how's the interaction with the people from your channel?
Overwhelmingly positive, actually. Everyone's been really, really kind and enthusiastic. We've had a couple of odd comments. Apparently,
trolls.
It's not
They're
cool
called trolls.
Breastfeed on YouTube. Yeah. Sorry, there's a child behind the couch.
I have to go help Paige.
Okay.
Real quick. Sorry.
Sure.
I don't want to call out some of the people. What's that?
Our 11-year-old wants some help, but she doesn't want to be on YouTube, so she kind of crawled up behind the couch, thumped it.
Of course. I don't want to mention any specific names. Yes, Piper. Was it Piper?
No, Paige.
Okay. And so there was like a couple people that I've noticed on your page that we have talked about. Have you subsequently figured out how to deal with those specific individuals?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, I need to stop reading comments and getting upset.
Listen, you can ask. It'll be like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'll send Steve like snapshots of I have what I call like rage streaks where I'll go through and the ones that piss. Yeah. And I'll just like spout. One guy got like a book from me, and I don't know where it came from. It just kind of flowed.
There's only one so far that I got triggered. Yeah, I didn't want to mention his name for various reasons because I don't want to give him exposure. People do know who we call. His nickname is called what do they call him? Oh, Independent Variable John. Because years and years and years, he still doesn't know what the hell independent variable, even though numerous scientists have explained it to him. Many people have tried to explain it to him. He still doesn't get it. But he has been a long-time flat earth troll that has just been a thorn in everybody's side because he's so inept, so incompetent, so scientifically illiterate, yet he thinks that he is just one of the smartest people on the planet. And he's a flat earther. So what does that tell you?
It's weird.
He's haunting them.
Why?
It was one of Josh's commentaries on a biblical Hebrew issue.
Oh, it was on General Han Solo. The video I did on General Han Solo.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Anytime you talk about the Holy Book, that brings them out, and it's funny because some of the most vile comments we get are from people defending Christianity, and it makes me kick back and go, this is ironic. I love this.
Great job on the loving your neighbor.
Exactly. Speaking of which, Dr. Bowen, you wanted to talk about Saturday's stream a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that about people that I don't know embrace a certain form of Christianity being some of the meanest people. It means a very soft word, I think, there. But, I was listening to Matt Powell, and he seems like a really nice guy, as Kyle, as you said. But it was interesting because I heard, this is going to sound bad when I say it, but I heard a lot of myself in him when I was in my early 20s. And, I have sort of a similar religious history, I think, to what he may have in 20 years' time, because I held very tenaciously to a particular Christian belief, and I had little to no education, but I had read a set number of books, And if you read that set number of books in this particular area, you can really master it and put this amazing and very convincing case together, both to yourself and to the people around you. And I knew everything. I really did. And I was really nice. And I just, but I was very, like there was no possibility that I'd missed something, at the core. And I just hear that in him. And it would be really nice, honestly, to have a conversation with him. I don't know if he'd be willing to do that, but I had that until I went to seminary. And once I learned Greek and then I learned Hebrew, it was like, oh, this is a whole lot more complicated than what I realized. And I suspect that if he were to push himself a little, go get some education in not in the sciences, as great as that is, the sciences isn't going to, I think, broaden the religious aspect. I think in the way that he needs it to be broadened, he'd have to learn Greek, he'd have to learn Hebrew, and he'd have to learn it at an actual institution. But I'd love to talk to him. So if he at an academic level. So I mean, if he's watching this and he'd like to talk, I'd love to. I just think it really benefit him. Frankly, I don't mean that in a condescending way. You can. Funny that you said there's hope.
There's hope. There's hope for everybody. I like to believe. For most people, I think there's some people are beyond redemption on things.
Yeah. But I used to think that before I started YouTube that everybody could be helped. But after I started YouTube, not everyone can be helped. No.
And again, Steve was right. I told him he was going to get jaded like the rest of us. It is going to get worse over time. Watch. And I'm proud of him. He's come 4 months.
It took 4 months.
It took 4 months
to lose all hope in humanity.
What does that tell you? 4 months. He used to be the most optimistic guy when I first met him, and we started doing all this. He had pie in the sky optimism. I'm like, okay, love your ideas. You're brilliant. Let's do this. We're on board and everything. But we're both going to get very cynical very quickly. Oh no. But I love the fact that you did say
what was that little? Oh no. I don't talk. That was a very stereotypical.
That was stereotypical. It was more like, oh no. I can't do your accent. I can't do the Southern accent. Okay. That's British.
Dave, will you mute my co-host, please, for the remainder of the show?
I've never heard enough from him. Again. But get to the point, though. You had mentioned it more complicated, and isn't that really the truth on a lot of these subjects? They are complicated, and when you have somebody who has never had any formal training or even bothered to edify themselves even on their own, they think they know a lot more about a topic than they actually do. And then when you actually do go to college, you actually do take some courses, you go, holy shit, I had no idea about any of this. My God, I'm a fucking moron. It's very complicated, right?
Well, and Dr. Bowen, I think that's a good idea, and we will set that up for you. But with him, I think that it, like I said Sunday, I don't think that he honestly believes any of that in terms of like people should be put to death that he said. I think that's just, if he can't admit, or if he has to admit that is not right, then that means that invalidates the entire Bible for him. Right. And so he's willing to die on that hill.
I think there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that's going on. And I mean, and I say that from experience, right? Because I remember, and I'll talk about it, on that show, if you can set that up, we can go into my past. Maybe that would be interesting. But, I held to some very specific views, and even at times I would think, is this right? Yes, it is right, because what saith the scriptures? That's what I said all the time. What saith the scriptures? And I suspect that's what's going on in his head. And absolutely, it allows me to have some hope for him that maybe others can't, because I remember I just feel that bit of connection to his experience. So
I think it's a good idea. We will definitely set that up. Okay. Recently you guys did an episode on something that I'm interested in. I don't subscribe to every aspect of it. However, it does interest me. By the way, guys, next Monday, these two will be back with us to dive into Bernard Lambarel's The Covenant, which I want so badly to be true. And I have a feeling that
Steve, I thought you said he lost his optimistic streak.
He's trying to hold on to it with dear life.
It
Isn't he
is
so
surfacing
cute?
very strongly.
but we have these two. Oh, you're fine. Crush my dreams. We have these two, and Maggie Bryson will be with us. Dr. Stephen DiMattei will be with us, and Bernard. So it'll be a full house, and we'll kind of do some live peer review. Go ahead, Steve.
But it is true. People like you guys, and I'm not just stroking you guys. People like you and Maggie and DiMattei and all you guys do give us hope. So we do have a grounding rod with people like you that are reasonable, civil, intelligent, articulate, educated. If there's more people around like that, then we probably wouldn't be so jaded. But you know what? They're far and few between. That's why we do try to get them back.
You're basically the opposite of Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. You have hope that I've long since lost for most people, but people that know my background on YouTube could understand that with dealing with some of these people that we have around that just, wow. The things they
So
say.
one of the very first conspiracies that I ever brought up to Steve, I have probably 3 that I subscribe to, like 3 conspiracy theories that I am hardcore invested in. Like, I believe them. I think that they are true. The number one, obviously, is the Sphinx. Everybody knows this about me. I firmly believe that the Sphinx is a lot older than what we are told based on the geology of the actual Sphinx. And Brian Forrester, who is a big YouTube name in ancient megalith structures, he is coming on June the 28th to stroke my ego on that so that we can talk about all things Sphinx. Because I'll tell you guys, I can't bring myself to ask Dr. Bryson because I still want Dr. Bryson to have a career that she can go to.
She's gonna lose her career over this? Come on.
No, but I don't think that I don't want to put her in that position where she has to like, oh God, he just asked me about
conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. So
it would not be the first
time
she's been asked that. So.
I know, but we still want her to come back. So I don't ask her.
I want to say I'm agnostic on this particular conspiracy. I've seen things either way. I have no freaking idea. I you know what? I can go either way on it. I don't know. I have no idea. I just don't.
And the other one that I do is you guys field. And I don't know how much I've told you guys about this or not, but something is going on with the Sumerian civilization because it popped out of nowhere seemingly overnight, and they were geniuses on all kinds of levels in terms of the things that they did. So I have a hard time believing that just kind of slowly evolved in the timeline that we were told. I feel like you guys are family. I feel like you guys are family, so I can relate to this without fear of you not coming. But you did some actual digging into this subject. You read his book, and then you did a show on it. So tell us about what you guys did and how you feel on the. It'd probably be good to kind of give some background on what exactly Sitchin believes too.
So I read his first book, and I'm just going to say now, I still don't fully grasp everything that is going on in that book. I'm sure there are people listening who have read it repeatedly and read his subsequent books and understand it far better than I do. As far as I do understand it, the basic premise is that the existence of modern humans is down to aliens who landed in the Mesopotamian region and genetically engineered humans using their own DNA and the DNA of an early hominid species to use us as like manual labor, basically in mines for gold and precious materials. So that's one strand. And so these aliens are then viewed throughout Mesopotamian history as the gods. And what Sitchin seems to say is that the mythological texts that we have from Mesopotamia aren't actually mythology. They are historical accounts of the relationships of these aliens, their interactions with humans, and most crucially, when the texts talk about the gods traveling from heaven to earth, it's not theological, it's factual. These are aliens with spaceships traveling from the earth back to either a ship in orbit or their home planet called Nibiru, which comes into the vicinity of Earth every several thousand, 3,600 years. Yeah.
And those aliens are called Annunaki, right? Which means those from heaven came.
Those fell from the sky or something? Supposedly, that's what Stitchin
I want to say.
I gotta say, I tried to read Stitchin years ago in Velikovsky. Like I read Wheels in Collision, and I just thought it was all BS from the get go. And especially Church of the Gods and Search of Ancient Astronauts with Don Donnekin.
All right, so I want to say, kind of as a caveat here, maybe is that I did not read the book, and in fact, I had never. I mean, look, I have a PhD in Assyriology. I've done Sumerian for 9 years, and I'd never heard of Sitchin, which maybe is a fault of mine. I'm not sure, but
really,
it never came in.
That is surprising, actually. I mean, he is known as a pseudoscience person, but I mean, the name is relative in the field as far as him being a big. He was on Coast to Coast AM, and he was really big back in the day.
Yeah, so I'm not. So I want to say that Megan is. If this is okay to say, Megan is far more set, maybe, in her opinions on this. Or okay, that's good. So
Josh is open to persuasion. If you can show him the evidence,
I tend to
and
be.
If it's good evidence, like any good academic, he will hear you out. And if you present the evidence and it is convincing evidence, sure, the aliens created the Sumerians. Why not?
So I mean, I've actually So that being said,
the whole thing makes me want to cry, quite frankly. But
all right, so I'm trying to be.
I love how simple she made that. That was awesome.
I can't stand how amazingly cute you guys are. Yeah.
Oh,
well, it's good, but okay.
Go ahead. I was just going to say I've actually emailed the webmaster at Sitchin's website, Jan Sitchin, I think. I've emailed some of the major YouTube channels that have like 500,000 hits on their videos. They have 500,000 followers, whatever. Or subscribers. I've emailed them and said, look, I'm untainted. Maybe that's a bad way to say it, but I'm willing to sit and listen to your evidence, because there aren't a lot of people that.
It is a fault of academics in general. I think that if you come up with something new and exciting and it doesn't follow the status quo, there is a tendency to dismiss out of hand. I have to say, when it's aliens and genetic engineering, I feel less bad about dismissing that out of hand. Josh will not do that. So
I'm on her side.
He'd like to be convinced.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on
I think we're all like that,
right?
But
yeah.
On principle, right? But I mean, there's a limit, though. I mean,
yeah.
You looked into stuff. I mean, isn't it stuff like Velikovsky and Sitchin? They wrote for the times. They were back in the 50s and 60s. A lot of the alien stuff is what you would expect to come out of that decade, right? I mean, do you think that these advanced civilizations would have something much more technological? No, it was something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
but it's a true story, right?
It really is.
I mean, not true story with the aliens, but with. I mean, it's a true myth. Let me put it to you that way. Like, this is how they honestly, the Sumerians honestly believed that we got here, right? Isn't that a story that's told?
Part?
The gods came from the stars.
Yeah, and the flood part where.
Sorry, go ahead.
The flood, yes, is
the flood
Sumerian mythology. But so there are various different creation myths from the Near East. Most of them involve a god or two forming humans from either the blood of another god mixed with the earth, or I think there's one where humans are like planted, sprout up from grain of some kind. Stars and coming to earth from another place don't really figure largely. I think where the astral component comes in is that Mesopotamian deities quite often were equated somehow with the stars. So you've got the goddess Ishtar, Sumerian Inanna, is equated very heavily with the Venus star. There's a sun god who is understood as literally the sun. Same with a moon god. So they have these connotations, but there's not really an understanding of them being beings from another place in the
So
way
where did he
that
get that from?
aliens.
So this is sort of what I would like to have someone present to me. So let me couch this a little bit in context. So for the past 2 weeks, she's been reading Sitchin's book. I've been listening to YouTube videos that are supposed to be like presenting all the linguistic evidence and the archaeological evidence and evidence from art history and those sorts of things. And there are a lot of statements like this Sumerian or a Sumerian text tells us this. And then I wait for them to say that Sumerian text is.
And this is a flaw in Sitchin's work as well. He'll quote something, but he won't tell you where it's from.
Yeah.
And you'll just have this block of text, and I'm stuck trying to work out, is this a myth? Is this an omen? Even what time period is it from? And my pet peeve is that he conflates evidence from 3,000 years of history, which you simply can't do. It's very bad scholarship. And it's very, very misleading to the public. And it's one of the problems I have with this whole the Sumerians sprang from thin air, because they didn't.
No,
we know
not.
they didn't. There's archaeological evidence of people living in the area. I'm so sorry, Kyle. I'm sorry. I'll buy you a beer. I'm sorry. Sorry. But it just didn't happen. There's so much archaeological evidence for people making these technological developments over hundreds of years. It didn't just spring into being from nowhere. And you, even with writing, it didn't just happen. You don't just get cuneiform tablets with fully formed cuneiform. You've got a whole progression over several hundred years of people experimenting and elaborating and improving on ways to record information and communicate with one another with clay and with a stylus, and with cylinder seals and stamp seals and tokens. It's not technology that just appeared. Now, it's got a very definite evolution.
Now look, Kyle, I just want to identify with you for just a second, because when you watch the videos, after a while you're rooting for them. You're like, I really want that that would be really cool if that were true.
Oh, it would be awesome. I'm the world's biggest sci-fi nut. That would be fantastic. There's no
I bet
evidence
we've seen all the same videos. I bet we've seen all the same videos.
So when they laid this stuff
safe
out,
to say
like, oh yeah. Okay.
Is it safe to say that I'm older than all you guys here? Pretty much.
Oh, by a long shot.
Okay. By a long shot, right? Okay. Pretty much. So back in the day when a lot of this stuff started coming out, especially with the Eric von Däniken approach, right? Everything that I read back then, I started to believe as a teenager a little bit. At least I felt the possibility. I was more in Josh's camp. I was like, wow, this is really cool shit. What if this was real? Sardonia reason, the face on Mars, must be aliens. Oh, look at this rocket ship from some Mexican, king.
Sidonia.
Oh, it looks like, it's a, is it Sidonia? Is it Sidonia? What did I say? Sardonia?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sidonia.
Sardonia.
The Richard C. Hoagland type approach, right? And I did buy into a little bit, at least saying, oh, what if this was really cool? But as I investigated more and I got a little older, what I found was that it was all confirmation bias, and it was all manipulation of data. It was literally them trying to sell a narrative rather than doing any type of scholarly research. Would you say that's an accurate description?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because the stuff, I mean, for starters, so much of his evidence is iconographic. It's based on reliefs and cylinder seals. And I'm sorry, but unless you lived in that culture, there is no way in hell you know exactly what is being depicted. Like,
Well, I am
academically,
going
you
to.
can make a pretty good argument, but you can't say this definitely shows a spacesuit in the shape of an eagle.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take the flat Earth approach, and I'm going to say it is not.
No.
I'm sure you've done the research, but go out there and do the things. Why don't you have tangible evidence that I can see? Why aren't you doing the experiments in front of me?
I mean, all indoctrinated.
I'm sorry.
So this one of the reasons that I want to take this sort of soft approach in all of this is that I think it'll be very telling, right? If people are really convinced of this and they think that they have scholarly evidence, I suspect that if any of them see this, as popular as you guys are, they probably will. Then I suspect somebody's going to contact me. I would hope and say, yeah, I actually do have evidence. Because look, there aren't a lot of people that, one, can read Sumerian and Akkadian texts from all the periods, and two, that would be willing to sit down and talk to somebody about this, right? So here I am.
Yeah.
Contact me, right? I'm willing. I'll come on your show. I'll whatever, But so I'm here. Convince me, I guess.
I'm kind of.
Heisner has done that, right? He's done research on this.
Has he?
You know who he is, Dr. Michael Heisner?
Yeah. So here's the thing about Dr. Heiser, and I think he's a great guy. He's not an Assyriologist, right? So he's got his PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison. He studied under Michael Fox. So Michael Fox is a genius in Hebrew Bible, and Dr. Heiser, if you read his CV, has Ugaritic and Aramaic and all sorts of Hebrew, and it's great. He's a great scholar. I'm not taking anything away from him. But if you read his CV, it says studied Akkadian and Sumerian on his own, right? So it's difficult, not impossible.
Very challenging.
It's very challenging to learn those languages thoroughly on your own. And so even he in some of his back and forth with, and I admire him, by the way, because he's one of the few that I've seen that's actually scholarly, that's trying to interact with this community. But even he will say things like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure that all the Assyriologists translated that word wrong," which means that as much as he might try, he doesn't have the experience or the skill set.
He can't go himself and say, no, this has definitely been incorrectly translated.
Yeah, which it's no fault of. I'm not faulting him. It's very difficult. He went a different direction.
I get that. Yeah.
But
he's a very brilliant man. He's a very brilliant man.
Yeah, no question.
I don't know if anybody actively. I was sitting here trying to think. I watch a lot of those videos all the time. If you go through my view history, my YouTube view history, not my regular browser history, but my YouTube history. It's full of. Oh yeah, by the way, if ever I'm in some kind of horrible accident, one of the three of you, find my hard drive and destroy it.
We'll burn everything.
I've already got plans laid out. Yes.
Okay, good.
Fantastic.
I got you, buddy.
I don't. With all those videos that I watch, mainly it deals with, like I said, the civilization that I think was here right at the end of the Ice Age. This is my conspiracy theory that I buy into. I think that there was a civilization that was very advanced, that lived during the latter end of the Ice Age. For places like Göbekli Tepe, in Turkey, they're dating that back now to about 12,000 years ago, which blows out any type of time frame for when hunters and gatherers should have been making megalithic structures like they were. But something happened at the end of the Ice Age that caused the flood that everybody talks about worldwide. The ice caps melted, sea levels rose about 350 feet, wiping out every civilization that was around water. And so you had a huge population. It just plummeted. So if you go and look at the structures in, I don't know if there's any in where Sumeria was, but like Machu Picchu, there's distinctly two different civilizations that were there because of the architecture. There is nice, solid stonework that you couldn't even slide a piece of paper through on the bottom. And then a civilization came in and put little rocks with mud and kind of packed them in on top of that. I mean, it just looks, you can tell they're two different civilizations, but everybody claims that it's just one, that it's just, the Incas or the Mayans. But I could get lost in those videos for days, and it eventually led over to the Annunaki story, and it's a really cool story. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a fascinating story. He ties it in really well with some reliefs that the Sumerians did, where it looks like a crisscross pattern. Looks to me like a bush, but he claims it's the DNA strands that are woven together. You know which relief I'm talking about?
He also has an annoying habit of describing things as laboratory flasks. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Maybe you guys can answer this. Do you know if there are people who actively believe that's the way that humanity came about, or it's just a really cool story? Because I can't. I'm like Josh in this.
You mean
I can be convinced. Yeah, that actively think that's
actively believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you talking about the Anunnaki and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's very popular. It appears.
Yeah, it's still around. It's still around. So are you actually saying there was like a relief in like an Erlenmeyer flask, and they're saying, oh look, they knew about chemistry or something? Is that what you were saying?
Right.
Yeah. So
really?
you
right.
get.
Okay.
And there's a particular god who's Enki, who's associated with water, and so on his iconography you get him holding these jars with water flowing out of them, and Sitchin says, "Oh, clearly these are lab flasks."
Clearly.
So I hear that
Clearly.
and I say, okay.
Clearly.
Sorry,
it just irritates me when people say something is clear. They give absolutely no evidence except the fact that this looks kind of like something that we have today. Ergo, it is exactly the same thing. I'm trying really hard not to quote.
Didn't they do that with Abydos reliefs? Like oh look, it's a helicopter, when it's actually like two symbols combined, but like, oh, it's a helicopter. By the way, I did tag.
What else can it be?
Clearly, I did tag Michael Heisner in this video. I have him on my friend's Facebook, and I'm in certain groups with him, so I have tagged him on it. So maybe he might check this out after the fact and kind of like respond. Like I said, he's a really smart guy. I watch him on Facebook talking a lot.
But but see, the odd thing for me is in all of this, like there are striking, I guess, coincidences in certain things that he talks about. One of those being Nibiru, and the fact that I don't believe it's the planet Nibiru, but there is a ninth planet out there. There is a that they think, because of the way Neptune's orbit and the way that it's kind of wobbling, they think that there is a planet out there that takes, I forget how many thousand years. Steve, can you look that up real quick? How long planet 9 takes to?
But I still think it's Pluto. By the way, Pluto is shouldn't be replaced. I mean, I don't know why they just think they can arbitrarily go, oh, Pluto's not a planet anymore, we're going to bring in another one. I'm a Plutoist. Stay Pluto.
Agreed.
Oh God!
Okay, so we want to find out.
I like Pluto. I was really upset.
I do too.
But you didn't call yourself a
planetoid.
If you can't have a test right now to demonstrate that Pluto exists, here live, for me, I don't believe it actually exists.
Oh yeah, good point. Thank you, Josh.
And if it does,
it's going to be Dr. Josh and Kyle versus Megan and Steve. We're trying to see
I don't know which one to look up.
The path of Planet 9. How long does it take to orbit the sun? I think it's like 36. See, it's 3,600 or 1,000. But anyway, they kind of predicted that. They alluded to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a relief that has them with all the planets in our solar system as well. Have you
Sorry,
seen
just
this?
two questions.
Don't make that face, Megan. Don't make that face.
Yeah,
Sorry,
make that face. Make that face. I want to talk about that, but it is 1,500 years is the elliptical elongated part of the orbit. So 1,500 years.
1,500 years. Okay. Well, yeah, they
when you
predicted
say
that.
they predicted it, who is the they?
Sitchin.
Sitchin predicted it.
Well, part of his argument is that there's the 12th planet that has a really long elliptical orbit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
I
don't know well enough to disprove that. The way he handles Sumerian language is bugging the ever-living daylight out of me, but I can't argue with him on astronomy.
Yeah.
But tell me about the planets, though.
So again, this is one of the iconographic arguments he makes. He identifies a little group of dots that in some cases are dots and in some cases are planets and stars. And he says, oh, look. And he has a very long, very well thought out argument to explain how this is representing our solar system and representing.
Can you guys screen share some? And you can look it up and put it on the screen. Is that something you can do?
Yeah.
Because it's actually pretty central to what. Well, I mean, I could just get the book and.
So he's arguing that this tiny image shows that the Sumerians had knowledge of our solar system that the Western world would not have until after Galileo. The problem is it's iconography. You can't make that kind of argument convincingly, for me at least, because you can't tell me this is exactly what that thing shows, because you don't know. It's not like it's an image that is labeled with the names of planets, which the Sumerians had. They had names for planets. We have omen lists of astral signs and solar signs. They did a lot of sky watching. They knew what was going on. So until someone shows me a tablet with this design on and each planet named, I'm going to remain skeptical.
But I mean, I think maybe even more.
I am.
Maybe even more basic of a question that I have is that, if they knew the fine points of our solar system, but they thought the Earth was flat. See, that's weird to me. Like the cosmology that the ancient Near Eastern cosmology that we have is it's pretty clear. So how did they get? I mean, those are the questions that spring to my mind. Forgetting the iconography and just
and also,
like, how do you get?
I mean, there's probably go ahead.
No, that's good.
I'll just real quick. So what if it has a planet 9? There's probably tons of trans-Neptunian objects. I mean, there's probably a crap ton of them that we haven't discovered yet. There's probably a hell of a lot more out there than just that planet 9. There's probably 10, 11, 12, 15. Who knows? I mean, there's huge bodies out there. We just have. Oh, sure, there can be.
There can't be.
Why not?
No, it
wouldn't be a brown dwarf out there somewhere. Who knows?
It would affect Neptune's orbit in a way that you would be able to tell that.
They all do. The orbit Neptune has is the result.
Trust me, I have researched this. I have researched this like none other. If you can't have two planets, you can't have more than one out there. I promise you. I have asked this question and researched it.
You don't think that you think there's only one or two TNOs? They're called. You don't think there's multiple TNOs? Because we know a lot of TNOs.
It would be
so this,
making
by the way,
a huge impact on Neptune.
Yeah, that's the iconography that I've started.
So
I'm really good at this.
This is the diagram that he comes up. Sorry, this is really professional, guys. This is the diagram he comes up with from. Do you see a tiny ring of planets or stars or dots or something? That's what he's getting it from.
Right.
That is it.
But do we count Aries?
That
do we
does
count,
show up on other stuff.
What size do we count as a planet or trans-Neptunian object? I mean, there's so many of them that are existing right now, right? I mean, do we count all of them as planets. I mean, planets is just a term we label something. There's not even a fine line of discrimination of what there is to be a planet. I mean, is a brown dwarf a planet or is it a star?
There is actually.
No, I'm telling
like
you.
Sirius.
A brown dwarf. Hang on one second. A brown
Sirius would be considered it wouldn't be a trans. That's just a brown dwarf that's out there. And I'm not talking about Sirius. I'm talking about the other. No, not Sirius. The other
Nibiru.
planet besides Pluto. They're in the Kuiper Belt.
Aries, Maki,
the name.
Maki. I think that's how I pronounce it.
No, the name escapes me.
I don't know. Sedna?
No, it's
There's
not
a whole bunch of.
I'll think about it in a second. But why couldn't that be the correct way though, Megan? What if he's right?
It could. He could be, but I'm saying that the evidence he's presenting is not convincing in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, the thing that I would so there are a couple things, right? And
wait till I get on his linguistics, Kyle. You're gonna love that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is, if anybody wants to convince me of this, and Kyle, actually, I'd like to ask what like your big 2 or 3 things that you really think are convincing.
On this,
yeah. But if you're going to convince me of this, I mean, you have to do that. What I've seen presented linguistically from the Sumerian it's just wrong thus far, right? And go ahead.
I don't believe this one. This is just interesting to me. And now the only thing that I would come close to maybe giving some entertainment to would be those pictures that Megan just destroyed and to a million pieces. That was probably be my strongest thing, but I don't think that there's the Annunaki or that they genetically engineered us. I'm just really interested in the story. Like, I think it's very creative and
it is.
It's just
it really
story.
is, and
it's just a very cool story.
It's fascinating, and he clearly put so much time and energy into researching it, and it's very interesting.
What I find most interesting about all of this, and some people listening may not like this, but in a lot of ways, it's very similar to how you can view the biblical text. Right? I mean, if you don't engage with the mythological aspect of the text, you can come away with something very similar. So
it's not any crazier than the Bible.
Doing. I mean, that's one of the things that he's doing. For example, Earth is Tiamat, right? So if you read Enuma Elish and you see Tiamat being split, by Marduk, well, Marduk is Nibiru, because one of his 50 names is Nibiru or Nibiru. And so, it all clicks, and they make this argument about how.
And if that's all that is presented to you, and he does it very convincingly. His theory about the creation myth in Enuma Elish is fascinating, but it leaves out the crucial detail that we have one version of the text from Babylon, which uses Marduk as the prime god, and it explains how Marduk as chief deity, how Marduk becomes king of the gods, because at that point in time, Babylon was the political head of the region. We have another copy of the text that uses a completely different god in Marduk's place, because the politics had shifted and the Assyrians, who are from the northern part of Mesopotamia, had appropriated the Babylonian creation myth and put their own city god in Marduk's place.
To say nothing. How does that statement go? To say nothing.
That works.
Yeah. Anyway, the Babylonian creation myth, Enuma Elish, it relies so heavily on the Ninorta motifs. I mean, it's not like it's even original. Mm-hmm. When you have the Anzu myth and you have Marduk pulling, not Marduk, but the text pulling directly from the Anzu myth. It's not like it was new with Marduk.
Yeah.
So, and I've got a video on Digital Hammurabi where I kind of go into some of the details of those two texts. Shameless plug there. Sorry.
Plug away.
We love shameless plugs. We're all for them.
That's our middle name,
but
actually.
If all you're looking at is the texts completely devoid of context and of the culture they were written in, then it can be very, very convincing.
And it is very loose if you listen. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Please go.
I was just going to say it's all very. I'm just listening to the videos, and again, I don't want to become convinced before somebody that's actually, really
someone who adheres to this.
Yeah, someone who adheres to it. I don't want to set up straw man.
You're falling into the conspiracy zone.
No, but I mean, I want to be fair. So, but the videos that I've heard, the cases that have been made to me, they're, as Megan said, they're very loose with what they say. So they'll say something. First of all, they'll say a Sumerian text when it's really a first millennium Akkadian text, or they'll say this Sumerian relief when it's from the Neo-Babylonian period.
It's from Turkey.
Yeah. And it's just all
close.
when you pick from but they're 2,000 years apart. These things are 2,000 years apart. So there are just certain things. One of the things that stood out to me is Megan was talking about in the book. He makes a lot of how the Annunaki are directly communicating with the people, and it's how they know all these things. What the hell are omens for? I mean, if it was a bad time to be a goat in the ancient Near East.
Or a sheep.
Yeah, or a sheep. I mean, because you were getting killed. Everybody's getting killed. God, look at that liver.
By the way, have you guys seen the screaming goat that sings the Taylor Swift song?
No.
Oh, do yourself a favor.
Have to look that up now.
Yes, do yourself a favor. Anyway, sorry. I usually wouldn't have interrupted for that, but it's worth it. I promise you. When you see it, you will understand why I did it.
It'll change your life. But change your life. Do you notice though some of these videos? Like I don't like watching the conspiracy stuff any longer. I've been around YouTube too long. But I've noticed when I did watch some of this stuff, it was all just bullshit from the get-go. I mean, here's Nibiru, and it's like a sundog, or it's a lens flare, or it's just whatever, and they're like, oh look, it's evidence, and it's just like, are you really think you're convincing these people?
That's not how evidence does that kind
works. Of crap? Not even remotely
They're not
close.
Those kind of videos. They're not those kind. They're usually lectures in like a at a convention or something like that. They get up on stage
but does that give it authenticity? I mean, I don't get that. I've seen lectures on like Thunderbolt Project for the Electric Universe. It's still bullshit.
I think you have to be able to suss out what is and what isn't, because like I said, Josh, excuse me, it's me being rude, Dr. Bowen, if you go and you look up anything with the megalith stuff and the ancient civilizations, I'm telling you, you will get sucked in, and you will be a believer, because there's a lot to this. But usually I don't watch videos that like people produce themselves, like if it's a personal channel, like Brian Forrester, who's coming on at the end of June. He actually goes to these places. He runs a company called Hidden Inca Tours, really big YouTube channel. But if you haven't checked him out, go check him out, because all of his content is fantastic. But he runs a tour company, and that's what he does. He goes to the Sphinx. He goes to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. He goes to Göbekli Tepe, and he pays the guards or whoever's managing that particular structure to take the access routes that aren't available to anybody else. And you will see how striking all of these structures are in terms of their architecture. You have, I mean, it's distinct to the different civilizations that are making it. And the weirder thing is that all of these structures are in a straight line around the Earth. It's one straight line. You can go point to point to point to point to point. And that's true. I did that myself. And they all are in a straight line around the Earth. So, I mean, something's going on.
The Earth is flat. I mean, that proves it.
I know.
See,
That's it.
We are shills.
Sorry.
Goddamn Russian Viz was right. Fuck.
He was.
I'm just
Yeah,
waiting
but you
for
will.
to see
You will get sucked in. I mean, there's several out there. You just got to be able to. I think you got to be able to tell what's what, because people will put literally, as you saw at the beginning of the show, people will put anything out on their YouTube channel.
Well, I guess this is what I mean, right? I mean, I'm writing to Sitchin's own webmaster, right?
Yeah.
I would think anybody that sees this, I would think that I would be considered. I'm flattering myself, I suppose, but there just aren't many sumerologists that can deal with these texts critically, that are willing to talk, right? I feel like if they're really convinced that they're right, I feel like they'd be coming after me, because we can convince this guy he's willing to listen. So have at
That's
it,
the case.
you know.
Huge asset. Right. Exactly.
I mean,
The question is, do they want to do that?
Digital Hammurabi at gmail.com, you know, or tweet us.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to say Twitter.
Oh, great. Give it another year. They're going to be Nibiru supporters. Yeah. Oh, my God. What's going to happen to their channel? They're going down the rabbit hole, you know?
No, but I mean, really, I will come on your show. Try to convince me, because sorry, you're probably like hating me right now for this, but
you go for
it. I think your approach is fair. Don't be wrong. I think you're wrong, but I think it's fair, right? Because I just think I'm sorry.
How can he be wrong? He hasn't made a decision yet. He hasn't made a decision.
No,
because I'm not agnostic on that any longer. I think it's all crap. So I mean, I think it's
but I think it's good.
Everything that I've heard.
Yeah.
Everything that I've heard thus far is wrong. I mean, there's no question about it. But
thank you. That's right. That's like.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I mean, everything that I've heard. So, but I mean, if there's anything that I've learned in my life is that I can intentionally keep an open mind. So, if just on principle, if somebody out there can present me with credible evidence that is convincing,
that is not Sitchin's poor attempt at Sumerian translation, please.
Yeah,
thank you.
But or bring that if you think it's right, but be willing to hear me say he doesn't know Sumerian.
I don't think you're going to find anybody.
He knows Sumerian as it was understood in the 1950s, which is very, very different to our understanding of it now, because we have excavated, we have translated so much more. Yeah. And Sumerian is still not perfectly understood.
Well, we know who Dungi is now, so you know.
Like 3 people.
I don't think you're going to find anybody. I don't think that there's anybody, to be like speaking honestly, I don't think there's anybody out there that truly, I mean, it would be hard for me to believe that there's anybody out there that truly believes this, like as an actual
there are
creation story.
See, until watching this show, I genuinely didn't realize anyone thought the Earth was flat.
Yeah, seriously. Like, what the hell?
I'm still a little worried about the state of humanity.
We were at a dinner. We were sitting across with all of our professors, a couple months ago. And we were sitting across from a really good friend of ours who's an astrophysicist. Or maybe he's just a really, really gifted astronomer. I don't know. But he was talking about I'm getting ready to leave my comfort zone here. But the thing that there was some sort of
I couldn't follow what he was talking about.
There's some sort of device that recently was up, kept taking calculations out in space, and you guys probably know what that is. And all the results were getting ready to be finally calculated and released like on a Wednesday. And all the people were coming to conferences that Tuesday and presenting all their papers just as fast as they could, because they knew they were going to be obsolete on Wednesday because all this new data was coming out. And he's telling us this, and I said, it's really funny that there are people that think the Earth is flat. And it just it was just silence. And they said, people don't believe that. And I said, no, they do.
Oh,
they do. And
contraire.
Josh, they're messing.
Yeah, contraire.
You know, speaking of which, your astrophysicist friend, what's he doing tomorrow night?
Avery,
I'm not joking.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, no, we need one tomorrow. We're not kidding. We need one tomorrow.
We had a last minute. Okay, let me set this up. We had a last minute thing.
And see if she's free.
It fell on our lap. Okay, but there were two guys that did a movie a couple years ago called The Principle. It was highly controversial because they allegedly duped over and cut it in a way that made a bunch of astrophysicists sound like they were saying the Earth is, or we live in a geocentric model, like we're the center of the universe. Lawrence Krauss was in it. The lady from Orange is the New Black and Star Trek was the narrator. Really big.
Kate Mulgrew, Mark Tegan.
Yeah. But they're doing a new. They got a new one coming out. I believe it comes out this week. But Rick Delano was the producer of it. Now we're having the actual doctor who is in it. Sungenis, is that his last name?
Yeah, but he's not an accredited doctor.
Yeah, he's not a accredited doctor. But
Dr.
he'll
Robert
be with us
Sungenis.
Monday. But Delano will be with us tomorrow. He wanted to come on before the doctor comes on. So we need somebody to very last minute. We're not the center, and I would like that person to be a licensed ass kisser, kicker.
We need somebody that can kiss ass to a geocentrist. You heard it today on the NonSequitur Show. Russian vids, take that clip, run with it. Go ahead. Yeah, we're done. No, let me get some specifics. What we need. We need somebody that actually knows a lot about the cosmic microwave background radiation, the WMAP data, the Planck data, and the anisotropes, especially the dipole anisotropes. I've actually talked to Rick Delano years ago, back when he made this movie, when Rick and his partner, which is a producer named Mark Wyatt, they had a channel called the Principle, and for me and several other people, back and forth a long time on this particular, before the flat earthers kind of came around. So I know their arguments. It is very, very technical, very, very advanced. It is literally somebody that can explain in a layman's kind of way why there are those anisotropes, and the fact that they doesn't actually. What they're saying is this: the movie The Principle is about the Copernican principle, which basically that we hold no special place in the universe. Okay, so the geocentrists say we do have a special place in the universe. Either the sun goes around us or the whole universe does. They are the whole universe kind of geocentrists. So they believe that we are the literal center of everything goes around us. And basically the dipole of the CMB, supposedly called the axis of evil, pointed directly to our solar system. Find out with better data, that's not necessarily the case. It's actually, I think, 14 degrees off, and it has like a 30-degree cone that could possibly be. So it's not even pointing in our direction. It's off, but it's a cool coincidence of some sort. But it's not like it's pointing at the Earth, going, "Oh, look, we're looking right at you." That's not the way the axis is.
Or is it?
Josh is like, I'm open to it. I'm open for evidence on that. They're
not flat earthers.
I love being open-minded. I love being open-minded. They're not flat earthers. No, they're going to be arguing against a flat earther. Dr. Sungenis says, and I'm open. I'm open to being
taking on a flat earther on Monday. So it's going to be a center of the universe versus flat Earth. It's so fantastic. I can't contain myself.
What could go wrong with a geocentrist arguing a flat earther?
We need a So if you feel like you still have a friend left after you ask this, please text your friend. But
please.
The new movie is called The End of Quantum Reality, where it focuses on reaching the singularity and how we can avoid that. With Dr. Wolfgang, forget his last name escapes me right now, but the trailer is very epic. Very epic. So,
and by the way, I do want to tell you guys this, and mark my words: as your time on YouTube goes up, your faith in humanity decreases proportionally. It's called Steve's Law. Run with it. It's new. It's Steve's Law. Go with it. I'm going to put it on the GDC wiki, the Great Community Wiki. That's going to be the new law. As your time on YouTube goes up, your faith in humanity goes down. It's a direct proportional.
People in the live chat, if you have any questions for Dr. Bowen and soon to be Dr. Megan. Yeah. Please put those in there now. I really just wanted to briefly go over Sitchin, and I knew my dreams were going to get dashed tonight. I came prepared. Sorry. It's okay. I really was only holding on to that one with the planets. I really wanted that to be true. But they believe that we live on a flat Earth.
I don't know that it's not true.
Do you think? Oh, wait a minute.
I don't think it is, but it's iconography, so I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
We might be getting somewhere. See?
Well, no.
Let those walls down.
Let me take this
down.
one. Let me take this one.
Let those walls down.
You don't have to believe in it, but I'm convinced it's bullshit. I believe it's not true. Now, do I know for certainty? Okay, so we can say we believe something. We don't have to say with certainty because beliefs don't require certainty. So yeah, I believe it's nonsense. Sure. Okay. Good.
That's all we need, though. See,
She's
Megan,
awesome.
there's you're. I know she is. She just admitted that there's possibility. It's possible.
One step
That's
closer.
all you need in life.
Everybody watching this, we have like 300 people watch or whatever. Everybody's like, Steve's Law is the reason we all drink. There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
I started this thing. We started talking about it probably back in November. Originally just as a podcast, just audio, throw it up on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever. That was it. And we started slowly throwing up like an episode. We did an episode each week starting out. Lord, I missed those days when it wasn't streaming every night. But it's the craziest thing too, because I worked for a long time about like guests, because you have to kind of set your pace, and you don't want to like book too far in advance because you could always get canceled. The network could come in and cancel us because we are paid by NASA to bring you this content. So you never know when they're going to like cut budgets or whatever, and you don't want to get like 3 days ahead because then you're constantly trying to outpace yourself. Well, in the past 2 months, I probably book a month in 4 days. Maybe we're up till July now. That's how, crazy it is. And it's every day. Like it's not like it's every day literally. But the guests are starting to pick up in their, I don't want to say notoriety, but like interest, because I wasn't going to announce this now, but because we're still working on the date, but I think it's going to work out. There's a doctor that studies fungi. He's a mushroom doctor. And I won't say his name because we don't have a date yet, but we're working on it. But he was he was the most requested guest for Joe Rogan on his podcast. And this guy is fascinating.
He's very well known in his field, to say the least.
Yeah, he's fascinating.
And you just say mushroom and scientists, they'll know the person, but we can't say for sure because it's not confirmed.
Yep. We were going to have him. It was going to originally be at the end of June. Due to some scheduling things, we're going to have to pick somewhere in July. But he will be pretty certain he'll be here in July. So that's exciting. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like we hit 9,000 yesterday, and I have no clue how that's even possible in the time that we've been. It's just crazy. I mean, you get lost in this stuff.
We've got so many people send it. I mean, even Dr. Sejenis, we didn't reach out to them. They reached out to us.
Yeah.
And they're the biggest names in geocentrism, and they want to come on this channel. So that's pretty awesome. We can't mention any names. By the way,
you just need to prepare yourself. You guys just need to prepare yourself, because the crazy will find you. You don't have to. Everybody asks me all the time. That's the number one question everybody that I get asked whenever I go and do like if I'm on somebody else's channel or whatever. The number one question that I'm always asked is, where do you find some of these people that you have on the show? And I don't. They find me. So let me give you an example.
Including Josh.
Yeah,
exactly. Actually, Josh found. Yeah, Josh, you are in the You Found Us camp. Yeah,
I am. I emailed Raw first, and then
we're going to take you out of that camp because that's bad company. We can't have you in there. But interesting story.
Somewhere else.
Interesting story. I got a tweet, and this guy, super nice guy. I mean, he said some of the nicest things that I've ever read from somebody that I didn't know. But he just has a fascinating view on a certain topic, and I'm going to try to get him on to talk about it. I don't know if he will, but he thanked me. How it started was he thanked me. He said, I want to thank you and Steve for what you guys do, calling out, the crazy in religion, whatever. And I said, oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And he said, I have a interesting view on how I think we got here. I believe that Jesus and Muhammad were hybrids, and that piqued my interest. And I said, hybrids. And I said, hybrids of what? And he said, long story short, aliens, but basically that aliens came down and impregnated Mary, and that's how Mary got pregnant. And I'm just sitting there going,
it was aliens.
I just read that.
It's always aliens.
But the funny part was, the purpose of the thank you to us was for us calling out the crazy in Christian.
Yeah, it was weird.
And
it was weird. I read it. It was weird.
It fascinates me how people think. I mean, I like it. I like when people think different. I'm going to try to get him on here to talk about it. There's another guy that believes that hell is in the center of the earth. It's expanding, and that's why we have climate change. There are no shortage of people with varying views, and I don't want to get into a rut where we're a conspiracy theory channel. That's why I try to balance it out. I get so much interesting.
That's why we're here.
Exactly. In terms of guests that I have to stagger. I'm looking at the week and I'm going, okay, I've got a flat earther, I've got a alien guy. I can't overload the viewers this week. I mean, it'll just break the internet. So I need a PhD. Give me a PhD.
we had a guy shoot himself up 1,800 feet. It was on a rocket. Okay, so yeah. I mean, but you know what? The number one question I got asked is, and I just got asked it literally on Twitter about an hour ago. I'll read it. Seriously, how do you deal with these people on a daily basis and not lose it? I get asked that question all the freaking time.
I've asked you at least
I have no
twice.
answer. I don't know. She did. Megan asked me this on Twitter. Yes. I have no idea.
It's like, Steve, help me.
Know.
My brain is bleeding.
You know what the nice thing about this from our perspective is that we have such a, I mean, Steve, you have it too. But we have because we have this specialization, I can hear people like Dr. Ross give a presentation and say, okay, look, I don't have to go through and debunk his whole thing. I can just pick out these three things that are like linchpins, right? And say, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, and here's why, and the whole thing can fall apart. And I don't know, it's cathartic in a sense.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of it's an interesting dynamic, I think. I lost my train of thought now. Oh, I had something profound to say and it blanked. Like this was really going to change lives, and it slipped.
Don't you hate it when you have an epiphany that you know is going to be like magnificent, and you're like, oh fuck, I forgot it.
What was I going to say? I can't think of what it was now.
Oh my God, this could have cured cancer. This could have put a man on Mars. It could have been something really significant, but nope.
Yeah, nope. So what do you guys have coming up on your channel?
So we're trying, and I've been trying to get a day together for ages to actually do like a Sitchin discussion with Josh and I and our friend Avery, who's an art historian and also has a background in astrophysics, because I can't do anything with his astrophysics stuff because I have no idea. I think we were going to kidnap Kyle for that as well.
Oh yeah.
I'm still waiting to get back from Avery. I've asked her if she's free on the 30th of June, but I haven't heard back. So who knows?
That's actually why I'm saving my evidence for. Like I was going to hit you with it today, but I figure it's only right to do it with all the professionals in the same room. So
that makes sense. I appreciate that.
And we've got the thing you were talking about with Bernard coming up.
Yep.
That's going to be nice. I really like him. He's wrong, but I really like him. And I think it's going to be a fun discussion. Sorry.
No. I will not hear of this. I will not hear of this.
No, I mean, he's clearly put a lot of time and effort into it, and he makes some interesting points. But anyway, I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good discussion.
It will be fun, and I can't. I mean, in all seriousness, like I the thing about me is I can be convinced. Like, I don't have a mind that goes, nope, you're wrong. It's out. That works both ways, though. Just because I want something to be true, I can easily be, if I see something that looks like it checks out and it makes sense, then I can check out of it just as quickly. The thing with that, though, is that it, on a simplistic level, it just seems that is way more likely than the story that we're told. You know what I mean? Like, that just seems, it's so much simpler. It's so much more like human nature. It just seems to fit.
Which one are we talking about now?
Bernard.
Oh,
like
the difficulty. Well, we can save it for the discussion.
There are difficulties.
Yeah. And again, I get where he's coming from, and I get the thing that he's wrestling with, and I think it's a noble attempt. I don't want to take that away from him, but I guess I'll say this: there's some things that if he's going to move forward with it, he's going to have to deal with.
And I think it
interesting.
So I haven't read Bernard's book, but from hearing Josh's synopsis of it, and also this applies to Sitchin as well. With history, if you have a theory that explains everything, the chances are it's probably wrong.
Yeah. Any theory that explains everything explains nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot wait to hear.
Matter
I
of
will
fact,
say, though, I'm
I'm
going to be hard on this. I'm going to be hard on this.
It's all right. We're up to the task, I think.
I mean, not hard on you guys, because I don't know shit in this field. Like, y'all are the professionals. But I'm saying I'm going to be hard sitting on, like, my this is mine and you can't have it. Like, you have to use a lot of strength to take it away. I'm just saying.
I'm interested as to why. What is it that's so appealing about it?
Because it this is going to make me sound even crazier, but because we've all been through all of our flat Earth streams together, so at this point I have no shame. So I feel like I can bear all on YouTube. But
no, don't do that. Don't bear all, please. We want to stay without a strike, dude.
Oh, please, Steve, please.
Please
they
don't
have to pay for that.
It can't.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, we're gonna do that another time, because that's weird that somehow somebody thought that was, you can't do that. Why not? I mean, that blew my mind that somebody complained about that.
Apparently, the back of my son's head is very pornographic.
Yeah, that was the word that was used. Weird.
I just feel all kinds of. Oh,
these people just need to just go on a different planet. Just be done with them. Be done. I told you, Steve's Law. As you time on YouTube, Hope for Humanity goes down. Steve's Law in action. Use it.
So to give us some context, there were a lot of circumstances that led up to that stream that I am by no means a religious person at all. I believe that there are coincidences that happen in life, and I believe that there are certain things that I don't want to say seem like fate, but they're just hard to describe because they're so out of left field and they don't make sense. So we actually, Dr. Bowen, you were the start of this. We find you back then, and we get you on the show. Bernard watches your episode with us. So we get you. Bernard emails, sends you Bernard's email to see if you can kind of, suss out and see what if you get him on the show. After that, Steve and I were invited to a friend of ours named the Godless Iowan. He does like an atheistic Bible study where he gets a bunch of content creators on a Saturday. He picks out a couple of passages, and you go and you read through them, and you kind of give your opinion, hearing it, what you think now as an atheist. So we do this. And mind you, this is weeks before Bernard comes on. This is weeks before I have Bernard's book.
I heard that. I actually heard that discussion you guys had.
Okay, so you know what we're talking about then. We're talking about Sarah and the story. The basis for why he wrote his book. And so I had never gone into that in too much depth. But because we had that little atheist Bible study, I knew dead on when I got the book. I mean, it was just like, oh, I already know about this. So we have Stephen DiMattei then come on, also prior to Bernard, that goes through and ask Steve will back me up on this. Steve, what did Stephen DiMattei choose to talk about in the contradictions?
In the Bible,
the same
story.
one, the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. He wanted to do the entire episode on the Ark of the Covenant. So all of these streams are like falling into place to set up the stage for this. And when I read the book and I had him on, nothing that he said was like out of left field. You know, it's not like even the Sphinx or the ancient civilizations. It's not like Nibiru. The stuff actually sounds like it's, you know, it's just everyday thing. You have fighting over land. One guy and a king make a deal, strike a deal that stops the fighting in the land, and everybody's prosperous. Over time, that story gets told, and eventually it morphs into that's a covenant between God, and it fit so much neater than the story is now. I mean, it just fit. So here I am looking at all these pieces, going, well, that's weird. All right, that's really weird. Okay, now that's strange, and it's really hard for me to say nope. There's nothing to that. I'm looking forward to Monday in a way, and in a way I'm not. In a way I don't know if I want to hear the evidence. I want to be like flat earthers on this, and maybe that's what I'll do. I will come here and stick my fingers in my ears and
you know what's nice
a couple times
nice
come back in.
You know what's nice though about ancient religious texts like this is that you are describing an experience with a religious text, and maybe you wouldn't describe it that way, but it's a reader response, sort of event, and so you were moved by interaction with the text. So whether or not the interpretation that you heard was correct or not, it had an effect. And I mean, that's legitimate, and I think that's something to count as legitimate.
Yeah. It's not something that, I won't be crushed if it turns out that's not the case, but it was just a very long couple of weeks of very odd events that just kind of all fell in place and set this. When he started going into things, I was sitting here going, oh my God, I don't know if I want to tell people like what's going on in my head right now or not. They're going to think I'm some kind of like crazy conspiracy theory. I've gone out of left field. But it just happened. I mean, and Steve can vouch for everything that I just said. All of that.
Yeah, but it's all true. But I don't put any particular relevancy. I mean, we talk about so many things all the time.
That's because you don't have a soul, though. I have a soul.
I have no soul. And so the one time is a coincidence. I don't really put much stock into it, right? But by the way, Megan, when you get a chance, have you ever heard of something called model-dependent realism?
No.
Look it up for when you get a chance. It's because model-dependent realism is that you were talking about earlier, and I know we got sidetracked, but I really wanted to bring to your attention, is that there is no one model that fits all domains, and you can have multi-modeling for a single domain. It's by Stephen Hawking, and I think it's really spot on because, like you were saying, any model or any explanation that explains everything explains nothing. And I wanted to get back to that because I thought that was a brilliant point.
Thank you.
But we can go back to Kyle's spiritual experience now.
But I mean, following up,
that's a good point.
Following up on that just a little bit, and we kind of started the show with this complexity. We were talking about Matt Powell. One of the things that I've always given this example, and I don't think I gave it the first time I was on, but I can't remember things that I say. So, when you walk down a hallway, when you're at the far end of the hallway and the room is all the way down at the end, if you think about how much of that room that you can see, it's just that much. If you take 5 steps forward and you're still 50 feet away from the room, your line of sight is still right there. But you've taken those 5 steps forward. And so many people think, well, I've read a book, I've taken a class, at my local church or something. I've moved forward in my education. Now what I see is that's much more definitive. Right now I know that that's true because I've taken that class. but you don't. You've really only taken those couple of steps forward. When you finally take enough steps forward to stand in the room, your vision opens up so much so that you go, oh, I've taken all these steps forward in my knowledge, but look at how much I don't know.
All I know now is how much there is still left to learn.
And that's really, I think, a very apt, it's an apt description of this educational process, because what I hear in Matt, and again, I think he's well-intentioned, I really do. But I hear him standing in that hallway, and he's studied under, what's his name, Steven Anderson. He's studied underneath of him, or it sounds like he has anyway. Whether he has or not, I don't know. But so he's taken these in his mind. He's taken these steps forward, but he still only sees this. But he thinks that this is so much wider than what it is. And if he does things like learn Greek and learn Hebrew and learn Aramaic, or deal into these deeper theological issues in a much broader way, and then it becomes clear. He steps into the room and goes, this is a whole lot more complex than I realized. That's what happened to me.
He's standing there in the hallway going, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And I get that. That's what he's saying in the hallway. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well,
and I get that.
Yeah. He thinks like the foyer is the actual room. He's in that corridor, and he doesn't see. And what's amazing is each subject has its own huge room. I mean, just massive. And so people like myself, who's just a little bit likes a lot of different subjects, right? I have no expertise in anything by any stretch of imagination. I just happen to like a lot of subjects. All I see is corridors. And I walk a few paces down this one, then the next day I'll walk a few paces down this one. I never get to the room, and I'm envious for those people that actually get to the room. And those are the people I love having conversations with. Those are ones you want to talk to.
The problem is, though, that Matt Powell wants to stone the person that decorated those rooms. So I think that's an issue.
And it's funny. One of the most eye-opening experiences for me, and it may have been for you as well, was the first time that first semester that I sat at Hopkins in that. These classes are essentially seminars that you sit around a table with the professor and 5 or 6, other PhD students, and you've all read 5 or 6 different articles. You've read 2 different books of people, brilliant people, that are all writing these articles that all view this same topic differently. Mm-hmm. And you read the first one and you think, oh my God, that answers the question. This is brilliant. And then you read the second one and you go, oh, well, that answers but that's then the first one. And then you read the third one and you go, that's really, but what about? And so you sit in the classroom, and at the end you go,
your brain explodes.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you feel like you're banging your head up against the wall, because it's like, what's the answer? Well, we don't know.
Every day for me.
That's when you go to the bar and have a drink. Yeah, that's it.
That's right. That's why
you did that too.
That's why so many sumerologists are alcoholics. No, just kidding. That was back in the 60s.
He's not kidding.
How do you think I got through nuke school? Jack Daniels. Yeah.
Steve, do you have any questions from the live chat?
Yeah, sort of, kind of. There's a couple that I'll try to get into here. One person, the girl, this Iowan, who, by the way, we were talking about earlier, go subscribe to him. If you don't know who he is, go find him.
He's awesome.
He's actually like 12 away, I think, from 1,000. So come on, get him over. He'll put his link in the video description again. So he has actually said, though, your channel filled a niche that needed to be on YouTube, and that's what I think Kyle and I both told you initially, is that find that niche, you have a good thing, and then go with it. And I think that people now are recognizing that, so I'm very glad that they are. Most of the questions that we have,
that was my advice.
He's like, just go, just put it behind you, forget it ever happened.
Like I'm gonna do.
Most of the questions are not in your field. Yeah, like as soon as the show ends. They're not in your field, so I don't know how you can really answer them. But like one person had asked what you thought of the Mayan calendar, the 2012 date. Obviously, completely different.
It was wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but they want to know why people thought that way. Why did they buy into that narrative that all of a sudden the entire universe was going to like suddenly vanish because the Mayans had supposedly predicted it, which I thought again was crap from day one.
I would say, do you guys remember Harold Camping? March 21st,
yeah,
2011.
the cult. It was a cult leader, right?
Yeah, I stay away from anything with the word camping in it.
But the thing about Harold, the thing about Harold Camping was he was the president of Family Radio. I mean, that wasn't like a cultic thing at all. I mean, it was.
But he predicted how many times and he got it wrong?
Yeah, well, 3 ultimately. But that's the thing. It was so bizarre. And I mean, he had it at the end. I followed him actually very closely because it was funny and sad. But he had actually people sell all of their stuff so that and give all of it to Family Radio, except for enough to get them a plane ticket and housing in a foreign country to get them to March 21st, 2011. So they had just enough money so that they could preach the gospel there the whole time. And then March 21st would come and they'd be gone.
Yeah,
and people just stranded in foreign countries.
I hate people.
I do remember that. And you would think after the first time you get the prediction wrong, you wouldn't get a second or third chance. I'm done. I'm just done.
I'll tell
and
you,
if you're right, then I'd be like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. You were right. Jesus came yesterday. I'm so sorry. You're right. Or, oh yeah, the end of the word was here. You're right. I will get down on my knees and tell you, yes, you were so right. But until that happens, fuck off. I don't deal with people anymore. I don't deal with these weird predictions. I've lived through 75 of them. Okay, 75 predictions. I think I've lived through. I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You blame me?
No. Yes.
I don't take any of them seriously.
For everything. For everything.
We have one camping fan in the live chat, by the way.
Yeah. I don't do anything with camping. But the Mayan thing, they just set a calendar that ended in 2012. That's the simple answer. I mean, there wasn't any kind of mystical thing behind it. It just ended in 2012.
It's just the way I don't know if you know this. Things worked.
Yeah. But they weren't around for very long after the Spanish came in. So I'm sure they were going to get around to updating it. I'm almost positive.
Yeah,
they would have
probably.
updated it. But
yeah, the Spanish did a number on them, didn't they?
Well, the disease did. Yeah.
Well, the conquistadors came over and kind of did a number of them, if I remember correctly.
Well, anyways, they killed most of them in, but the smallpox is what did them in.
Smallpox, yeah. Right. What's some other questions? You know what? I can't screw up on all this because we had an invasion of flat earthers come in and the mods had taken care of them. So good job, mods. But if you got questions, ask them again because if not, it's already gone because of the spam.
Good. So. And don't forget, flat earthers, your chance to be king of flat earth is coming up. We're doing a summer-long tournament.
Winner. Can I give a prediction of who I think probably stands the greatest chance of being king of the hill?
Let's both give a prediction. Yes, let's both.
I hate to say it, but I'm going to go. I'm having faith in him because he's come a long way. I'm going to go with Antonio Subarats if he plays.
Okay. I was going to go with Archie because I think he's a better argument.
You talk Archie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think it's that far fetched to think that Antonio could probably win that. I mean, he's come a long way. He's actually trying to have a dialogue. So
could be. The catch here is that it's up to the people. So
it is up to the people.
Yeah,
I want to hear Wonton.
You want to hear?
Wonton will be in it. Yes.
Did you hear Wonton and Mr. Atheist go at it the other night?
No.
I'll send you the link. It was on my channel. It was during an after show or just a regular show that I have on my channel. And Mr. Atheist and Voton, that's how he pronounces it, but we call him Wonton because we don't have any respect for him. They went after each other, and Mr. Atheist, I got to tell you, it has annihilated him. He shut him down.
Really?
Because the one thing that he picked, right, the one piece of evidence for flat Earth happened to be something that Mr. Atheist actually does for a living. Right? I mean, it's totally in his wheelhouse, totally in his area of expertise. And he just cremated him. And even Voton just shut the hell up. He knew he was done. He was just like, you could see this dejection in his face and he's just like sunk in. And it was great. I loved it. Good job, Mr. Atheist.
Wonton, if you're listening and you enter the tournament and you win, I will add in your terms or in the terms like what the winner's going to get. I will add that you can be called Voton again. But right now you are still on Wonton status.
Wonton.
And that's it. Yeah.
But he did show his face though. He went on camera. I gotta admit that was ballsy. So anyways. So I don't think that is there any more questions for Digital Hammurabi here, guys?
Have we tortured him enough or not enough?
They're all just talking about aliens in the live chat. I don't know. I'm not saying it's aliens, but aliens. I don't.
Keep it going,
I just
people.
don't buy an alien conspiracy.
Listen. The disclosure will happen soon. Don't let these people deter you.
We had Stephen. No, wait. We had that guy on, the guy that actually goes and he advocates for disclosure. Stephen.
The guy that wouldn't stop.
Yeah, but he told me several years. Well, I don't know. It's been about a year ago before we even got on here. He told me specifically, because I talked to him, that Obama was going to release disclosure, and that Obama was going to announce to the world that aliens exist. And I didn't believe him.
Obama's not even president. He was born in Kenya.
I must have missed that.
This was like 2 years ago. This was whenever it was. It was just before Obama left office. So been almost 2 years now. I've known that guy for a while. And yet I was like, I don't buy this. I don't think Obama's going to do this before he leaves office, because he's like swearing, oh no, Obama, he's definitely going to release this right before he goes out of office. He's going to tell the world that aliens exist. I'm like, I don't buy it. I don't see it.
Steve, Obama can't release his birth certificate. What makes you think he can release things on aliens?
Okay, Trump.
I'm just kidding. By the way, I'm not a broker. If you believe that, then you're an idiot. Just flat out. Yeah. If you believe that
I was never into that conspiracy crap. I'm not a huge Obama fan, but I'd rather have him back any day of the week nowadays. But
I think he's the best president we've ever had.
He was a good statesman. No, he was a good statesman. I'm not dogging the guy. He did a good job. But
he did a lot for gay people.
Whole birth thing. Yeah, very great on social issues. Fantastic. But this whole birther thing, I thought was just dumb from the get-go. So
yes,
that's just me.
Yeah. Okay. So we've tortured you guys enough.
Yeah, I think so.
No, this is great.
One last question.
You have so much enthusiasm there. Yeah, this is great.
It's like
Steve's law. Okay, last question. Because a couple of people have asked this. What about the dating of Göbekli Tepe? I'm like Kyle. I always get it wrong, but I think that's how you pronounce it, right? But I don't know really what the question is about it. I've looked at these things in Machu Picchu and even Chichen Itza and Teotihuacan.
What was the question?
Yucatan Peninsula. The dating of it. If there's anything, do you think that it actually implies, I guess, some kind of more?
Yes, absolutely. There's a ton that it implies.
I don't. I don't see anything that can't be explained by natural things. But go ahead, Kyle.
No, I'll tell you why. The reason that the date that they've set is for the period in which we kind of went from hunter-gatherers to settled cities and where we would build structures, because up until this time, people were just nomadic. They would go all over the country, wherever the food was going. That's how they would travel, and there wasn't any kind of settlement there. And they usually say that's around like 75 to 85, sometimes 9,000 years ago was when that transition kind of clicked over. Well, Göbekli Tepe comes along, and you have these huge structures, the T-beams, kind of like you see at Stonehenge. You have that kind of thing going on at Göbekli Tepe, and they're enormous. They have intricate animals that are carved on the outside of these columns, and what they have excavated is only like 10% of what's under there. So you're talking a insane place that has just grown over time. And when they dated it, it's looking to be somewhere in the ballpark of 12,000 years ago. So that kicks back 4,000 years from when we're supposed to be hunter-gatherers. So the implications of that are that either one of two things: either the hunter-gatherers evolved a lot quicker than they thought, and this is just evidence for that, or there's another side of the story. There was another civilization there prior, and when the Ice Age cataclysm happened, when you had all that water melt, the sea level rising, they were wiped out, or the comet that hit knocked out civilization. So those structures shouldn't be there if the original dating's correct of us coming around at like 8,500 years ago. It kicks it back 4,000 years. So there's huge implications for that. Huge. And right now, they don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I've seen them say, "Oh, like look at this was a picture of a comment on this particular rock or something like that." I just don't really buy any of that stuff. But I look at it this way. I'll say this. No, I think they showed like a rock or an asteroid or a comet, so they come in on one of the rocks. But I will say this: we probably have a really good understanding of a lot of this ancient stuff. I think even our guests would probably agree with that. But would you probably agree, though? We probably have so much more that we don't know, and that we probably do have misconceptions about stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
there's
so much
to know
stuff
more
that
about it, but we don't have time machine.
Yeah, and there's a problem with the fact that you can only excavate so much. I don't think there's, at least in Mesopotamia, there's no city that has been completely excavated in its entirety. They're just too big. It's too expensive. It takes too much time. You can't do it. But so there's so much stuff still buried that we may never find. There's also the fact that there's so much of human existence that doesn't really leave a trace. You're talking about hunter-gatherers and nomadic lifestyles. Those are really, really difficult things to identify in the archaeological record because they don't leave permanent structures behind. You might find something that you could think is a campsite, but it's very difficult to prove. So we do the best that we can with what we have, but we don't have everything, and we'll never have everything.
The implications in there, though, is that there was a civilization that settled there nearly 12,000 years ago, and that just does not fit in. I mean, that's in National Geographic. It's not a fringe thing. Like the dating is back and solid. It's 12,000 years ago. They just don't know how to explain how those columns are there, how those carvings are there, when they're just thinking that people are just going across.
It just proves young Earth, right? It definitely disproves young Earth. I'll give it that.
It does. It does disprove young Earth. But what I'm interested in is how that's going to be kind of sussed out. Oh, now you got me going though. Now you got me going there.
I know.
But
that's why I said it, because we're going to be here for another hour.
Everyone out there, investigate this, because there is something behind humanity, like as a civilization. We're a lot smarter than they give you credit for a lot earlier. So just check it out.
Teach the controversy.
Now are we done now?
Oh, I don't think Dave's even paying attention anymore. Dave, are you there? I think that was the intent. I would like to